It's 14 days until the first day of spring.
That's like 2 weeks. We gotta get to work. Konnichiwa, y'all, and welcome to the 10 at 10 for March 5th of 2024. We got a good lineup for you here today. Let's see what we got.
Guys, I'm Tim. That's my brother Matt. We're MrMaple.com. We're those guys who love Japanese maples. We're going to be listing 10, and we're going to be listing 20 trees that are getting listed today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to talk about 10 of them on the tables today.
Let's get into this 10, guys. There's some great ones. First off, on our table, we've got Acer Pomatum Peev Stanley. Now, this is a unique tree by our friends in Holland. Peev puts a signature on a lot of his plants with that Peev kind of signature at the beginning. Now, Peev Stanley is an exceptional mid-sized upright Matsumura.
The thing that stands out to me about Peev Stanley is the leaf itself. The leaf morphology is almost a sessilifolium. Really, it's a heavy Matsumura that's just so close like it. There's nothing else in the maple world quite like the leaves on Peev Stanley. That's what makes this tree stands out. It gives a unique texture out there in the landscape. And it's one of those trees that's just going to rock it out in the garden, give you something unusual and different.
Typically at around 6 to 8 foot, even in 15 years. This one tends to be very dense in its stature. The first time I ever saw this tree was actually at Sir Harold Hillier Gardens in the UK. I was going around on the Mapleside trip. I got to go out there and saw many of those Peev introductions there in the UK. I was like, Tim, I took pictures of it. I was like, we got to get this thing. It blew me away. It was a great red fall color. This can get to a really bright crimson scarlet color in the fall. Really good pink colors on it too. Sometimes you get some nice pink new growth over top of that deep maroon. We're getting very close, y'all. We're getting very close to spring fling. We're going to be having our spring fling April 5th and 6th. April 5th is going to be the main day. We're going to be open that day from 8 to 5. And we're going to have all kinds of fun stuff here. Food truck, coffee truck. Now we're also going to open up a little bit for you people that couldn't make it on Friday. Saturday is going to be 8 to 12, heavy cutoff at 12, that I think you're going to want to come see here. Some spring color at Mr. Maple. See what spring's all about here at Mr. Maple.
When the trees leaf out in the spring, to me, that is one of the most awesome times to be in the garden. It's one of the coolest times to walk around our greenhouses because you get to see that unique spring color that each of the different cultivars can provide. And then with cool people walking around, all these different collectors, you can talk and learn about Japanese maple. See what other people.
You're talking about us being cool people.
No,
we're dorks.
But with all of our cool maple collectors that are going to be here, it'll be a fun time to talk Japanese maples with people. See Japanese maples in spring colors. You're going to want to be there at that spring fling.
Meet the tree geeks. Matt and Tim will be here, guys. We got another fun one coming back. We got a penguin parade today. The penguins are just going to be lining up and headed down to the shipping facility. We got green penguin back on the 10 at 10.
Green penguin is one of our most popular conifers that we list on Mr. Maple. It stays really tight and dense, reaching about 3 feet in height, by about a half a foot to a foot in width, creating this little green penguin shape. It is such a cute conifer to add out there in the garden. It rocks it out.
Yeah, this one's fun. It's a perfect little Christmas tree at Christmas too. Anybody could go put a bow on this one at Christmas and you got a ready-made small miniature Christmas tree. I love this plant. I love when a tree has a perfect name for it. Now, green penguin looks like a penguin in the garden. There's not a better way to get your kids or your grandkids into gardening than giving it a critter name. Everybody's going to go check on the penguin in the garden. I love that this one kind of creates that little penguin obelisk there in the garden going on. Green penguin's great. Like, it's going to provide density, year-round evergreen color, and that good texture to it. It's got a tough look. I like the new growth too. It actually is real tight. It just gives it something every single season. It looks great in a container or in the ground. I see people use this one in railroad gardens, which is kind of cool because it looks like a big tree, even in that small setting. Typically around 5 to 6 feet, even in 15 years. Very nice, dense habit to it.
Now, the older growth actually has really long needles, where the new growth is very dense, shorter needles and compact. Gives a unique texture out there in the landscape. For a small conifer, this tree is awesome because it fits in those small spaces, but it gives you everything that you want for a dwarf miniature conifer. Extremely slow growing, and is a tree that's just going to really add that special effect in the garden.
Was it Billy Madison that got chased around by the penguin? It was Billy Madison one. Seen the penguin? All right, what do we got next, Tim?
We got wave leaf.
All right, guys, this was one. You've heard us tell a story probably. I'll repeat it for you, though. Talon Buchholz didn't mean to introduce this one. This is another Talon Buchholz classic. Part of that Nugo series, we kind of coined that phrase for him. This is a classic, y'all. He actually didn't intend to name this one. So Talon and now us at Buckholz Nursery, we have a series called the Rising Stars. And what we do is we'll offer great seedlings of cool plants that have interesting traits, but maybe didn't necessarily rise to cultivar status. So it didn't get selected as part of the Ghost series or Talon's new nameable traits. They're non-grafted seedlings. Now, Waveleaf was in that stash. It was bald and burlapped. It was ready to go out. Talon looked at it and he said, "Nah, I like it, but I don't know. I've named a lot of reticulated forms already. Maybe I'll let this one sell." Well, about the 5th or 6th person that said, "I want that one," Talon was like, "No, you can't have it. It's no longer for sale." He let the market decide his interest in it, and he brought it back and said, "I'm going to graft this one and put a name on it." And he chose Waveleaf, and I'm so glad he did. This is one of my favorite of the new Ghosts. If not, I mean, it's right there. I love Celebration. Probably Waveleaf's my number 2 maybe, or close. I mean, it's up there.
I love this tree because it can give you some really nice shades of lavender in the spring, some nice reticulation, but the glossy, shiny leaf is hard to capture on photos. But when you see this tree in person, you're naturally attracted to it because you realize it's got what a cultivar needs. I mean, you'll see a lot, once you learn about, go through thousands of seedlings, you start to see this tree has the it factor that draws you to it. And
Like a faster drink. She's got that it factor.
it does. It does. It's got that it factor. And so when you see that, you're like, man, that thing is sparkly. It's shiny. It's got that it factor. And this is a tree you need to add in the garden because you're going to grow in love with this tree the more and more you see it.
Tim, you got that it factor, buddy. These are awesome. I love them. Tim mentioned, but it is impossible to capture the shiny glossiness of it. Like when you see this one in person, it sells out faster than the pics do. And that might have had something to do with that appeal when people kept trying to grab the original one up. Grab you a Waveleaf today, some great size 1 gallons.
Guys, next up, we've got Ginkgo biloba gnome. This was found as a chance seedling, not a witch's broom like American and Troll were found. It's a dense, compact dwarf ginkgo that was found pretty close to us in Tennessee. And it stays tight, dense, and compact with a bright yellow fall color.
You got to complete the mythological garden. If you got a Troll, you might have, we've got Goblin coming up soon. You got to have a gnome. Gnome is great because it has more of a small globular habit to it. I like how dense and round it gets. Makes a perfect container plant. Lime your ginkgos, we preach that all the time, but you'll get better growth. You'll get a better caliper tree if you're liming them. That really helps a ton. Absolutely love gnome. We haven't had it on the website in a while. We've had a lot of Troll. We had a lot of Trolls lately. I think this is going to sell out very well. So if you're looking for a gnome to add to your Troll, check it out today on MrMaple. All right, from a Troll, from a gnome to a Goblin.
Guys, we've got zelkova Goblin. This is a dwarf zelkova serrata. Stays dense, compact, and narrow. Fits in those small spaces. It's hardy just like those giant zelkovas are out in the parking lots. But this one gives you something cool and interesting for the ornamental garden.
You know, I felt like I was cheating on maples when I first started getting into other plants. And so one of my first love affairs was with zelkova Goblin. This got me out of the box. I was maples only. I saw this plant around the time we started buying out Highland Creek Nursery, probably around late 2012, 2013. And I was like, you know, this is capturing my heart. Kind of the way something like a Macao Yetsubusa does. It's an upright. It's got that density to it. It was easy for me to fall in love with a Goblin. Weird thing to say. I love this plant though. It is really cool. You'll fall in love with a Goblin today too if you check it out on MrMaple.com.
Now, one of the things I love about Goblin is it gives you some amazing fall colors. So you get some bright reds to maroons in the fall as well. And this is an easy tree to grow for everybody. So put this tree out in the garden and enjoy everything this tree has to offer.
If you kiss it, it won't turn into a princess or prince. It'll still be a Goblin. But hey, sometimes a Goblin's good enough. All right, this will put a little green twinkle in your eye. we can't help it but say the names. We got green twinkle here, y'all. It's another town Buckholz. I said I was going to get him with it. He got me, dang it. But it's a great tree. I have one of these in my landscape that Talon sent us as a gift, 10 years ago. Absolutely love this tree. It kind of kiyohimis out for you maple collectors. It kind of makes a low spreading habit to it with a little bit more Matsumura style leaf. Puts a little twinkle in your eye.
I told Matt before, I said, yeah, that one put a twinkle in your eye. And Matt said, I'm going to start going, anytime you say the tree's
Beavis
name.
and Butthead. It's a little more modern than that.
Anytime you say the tree's name in the opener for the tree. So I was like, I'm going to get him back. So Green
You
Twinkle.
got me.
Green Twinkle, we've got one of these in Matt's garden. Talon sent us one, and it's just a rock star. Dense, compact. It is this unique Matsumuri leaf that the leaf itself is different from a lot of the other trees, but with that Kiyohime style shape, that Hime Sojo style shape, and that unique leaf, it adds something extra out there in the
I don't
garden.
think people really started to understand this one yet. It's so new. I think it had Kiyohime or Hime in the form, or Yatsubu, so people would probably be snatching this one up. It is a popular tree for us, but I think it's only going to grow in popularity once people realize it's got more of a Kiyohime style appeal to it for the shape. Absolutely love it. Looks great in a patio planter because you kind of get that little mounded, like kind of a tabletop going on there. You kind of get that toadstool shape I always like to say with the Kiyohimes. You kind of get a little bit of that with Green Twinkle going on. Different fall colors, different leaf. It really adds a lot of characteristic to the miniature garden.
An excellent tree to try out for bonsai with a soft effect with that more almost lace type foliage, and an excellent tree to put in a container and have something that not everyone else has. It's definitely going to rock it out.
Hendersonville's been famous for the shark stingrays. You can have a half Kiyohime lace leaf here today. the hybrid baby shark stingray.
It doesn't really exist, guys.
I don't know, it might. I don't know, at the time we're filming this, it ain't real, but who knows? It might be like a megalodon stingray out there.
So next up, we've got Acer Pomatum Dissectum Heartbeat.
This one will sell it in a heartbeat.
So Heartbeat is this weeping red lace leaf. It's a bright red. It's a little more cherry red. And that's the reason this tree has the name Heartbeat, but it's also one of the reasons this tree sells out very quickly on Mr. Maple. We try to offer this one a lot, and it does give that little bit extra oomph out there in the garden with that brighter red color.
I see this one show up a lot in the 10 at 10s. You know, we always do those 10 at 10s where we ask people their favorite trees. Heartbeat is a little smaller in stature, typically only 3 to 4 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide, a little more Crimson Queen shaped, especially when it's young. I like that it's a little bit smaller, and it's got a very ornamental quality to it. That color is a little more picked up than a lot of those lace leaves, so you get a little bit more cherry red, like he was saying. Like, think of it almost more of like a picked up fire glow color for a lace leaf. I love this. I think it's a great one for the container again, but a Heartbeat, exceptional small compact plant. I hear a lot of growers raving about this one too. I think it's only gaining in popularity.
An exceptional bright red fall color as well. We're talking like that fiery red. This is a tree that's going to grow more and more popularity the more people love it and put it in their garden. Heartbeat, definitely one to add.
I've had really good reports too on its heat tolerance, so it seems like it's all around just becoming more and more of a winner.
Guys, next up we got Pinus strobus Angel Falls.
Also known as the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
This tree gets denser and fuller with age. It has this really heavily cascading habit, and it's an evergreen, so it's going to give you a unique texture in the garden, but with its habit, it really adds a new dimension in the garden.
Again, Angel Falls looks great when you stake it up. We typically stake it up to about 5 to 6 feet and then kind of let it weep down. Similar to like a Ryusa, it can kind of be very malleable. You can play with the shape a good bit. Absolutely gorgeous plant, zones 5 through 9. Very durable plant. I'm really impressed with what these can do. Now, this would be perfect for a windswept bonsai as well. They are low grafted, but you can create a very unique container garden with this as well. And if you want to stake it up, just simply take a piece like this. We have a how to stake video. Pretty simple. Don't put it too tight around the plant, but you can play with those shapes a good bit. Girl, I bought you an Angel Falls because you look like an angel that fell from heaven. That's what I'm going to tell my wife later.
Next up, we've got Acer Pomatum Amber Ghost. This is a really nice selection from the Buchholz Ghost series. Really upright and gives you an amber spring color.
I've heard about those Buchholz guys. They have nice plants. Amber Ghost, my favorite of the Ghost series. Like, it literally is. You know, you hear favorites a lot. People put me on the spot and say, what's your favorite Ghost series? I'm going to say Amber Ghost pretty much every single time. I have one of these right next to my porch. It's a great specimen we brought in from Buchholz. And I love that amber hue in the spring. There's nothing else quite like it. I think it's got the best form of a ghost. I think it's got the best fall color of a ghost. For me, Amber Ghost, it's just undefeated. I absolutely love this plant. Depending on which day of the week you talk to Talon, sometimes it's his favorite. Sometimes first ghost is, but I love Amber Ghost.
I recently filmed an episode for our Buckholtz YouTube channel, Buckholtz Nursery YouTube channel, where I was asking Talon about the Ghost series. And I tried to narrow him down on his favorite. And I said, all right, so you said a bunch of different things. So what is your favorite? And I thought I had him, but he actually comes back and says, the customer's favorite is, this is the one I've sold the most of.
Smooth.
So Amber Ghost is one of our favorites. It's one of Talon's favorites too. It's one that's gotten #1 before from Talon. It has one of the best forms. It has a phenomenal bright crimson red fall color too. That orange red fall color is outstanding. The best fall color of any of the Ghost series. And to me, this is one that's super heat tolerant and shows that reticulation very well with the amber color with almost like purple veins in there. It's pretty exquisite.
Outstanding plant, guys. And again, great form. A lot of the progeny from that new Ghost are from Amber Ghost because it's already got one of the best shapes, so it's a great starting place. And so if you like going through seedlings, get you an Amber Ghost. Go exploring, go wild. Absolutely love what they do. All right, we got some little ones here. Last but not least, these will be really popular for bonsai as well. We got some Miyasama Yatsubusa. Now these are Acer Bajurianum Trident Maples. Very nice compact habit to this one.
These are some good sized Welsh pots. Guys, go ahead and smash that like button if you hadn't already before you leave today. Smash that like button. It helps more people see it in the algorithm.
This one is awesome, guys. I like the Welsh pots. They're perfect for the Welshman. Perfect sizing there. They're a little bit squattier than our regular pots, so if you know about the Welsh pots, we always try to explain them because they're the same size plant as a 1 gallon, but they're a little shorter on the pot. Now, excellent plants here. These are grafted Trident Maples. They're very popular for bonsai. They look great in the landscape. Typically, Miyasama Yatsubusa is going to be in that 4 to 5 foot range, even in 10 years, so a nice, dense, compact habit to it. I like to think of this one also as kind of the Makawa Yatsubusa Trident Maple.
Now this is an Acer Bajurianum subspecies Formosanum, so the leaf is a little more rounded, looks a little more like a cartoon version of a Trident Maple. This one with its tight, dense habit is perfect for bonsai. Being in a Welsh pot with a shorter pot to start out with early as well, this would be an excellent tree to try out as a bonsai in a bonsai pot.
Also, the seeds from this tree actually come back a little bit similar to the parent plant. So some of you bonsai guys may want to plant a grafted form of this, get some seeds for some bonsai material. Absolutely love Miyasama Yatsubusa. You can get some excellent pink new growth, you know, on that subspecies as well. That mid-spring to mid-summer push can actually have some nice shades of pink to red on it. It's a showy one for the container or the ground. I like putting grafted material in the ground, then creating from that. So even if you're a bonsai specialist, I recommend getting a grafted plant, sticking it out in the landscape, take some rooted cuttings or air layers off that, and you get endless content. Plus you get the joy of having a beautiful, you know, 3-season interest Trident Maple in your landscape.
Gives you some good red fall color as well. This is one that has that tightly layering habit, kind of like that Goblin we were talking about. It has that Makawa-like shingling layering habit with it. And this is a tree for a Trident Maple. It's one of the coolest.
Hey, we appreciate you shopping with us today. Remember, at 10 a.m., all these plants are going to list. Now, if we're doing everything right, our email should already be out. So sign up for our weekly email. This is just 10 of the 20 trees. There'll be another 10 in that email. Go check out the secret stock that just listed.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.